Ever come across one of those job titles that make you scratch your head and go, what do those people even do all day?
Mm.
Today, we're diving into one of those. Personal trust officer.
Ooh.
Maybe you're thinking about a career change. Maybe you're just curious.
Yeah.
Either way, you're in the right place.
I like it.
We are going deep into some career guides from RoleCatcher.com. It's a website all about, well, navigating your career, figuring out what's out there.
Nice.
So think of this as, your cheat sheet for figuring out if becoming a personal trust officer lines up with what you want to do.
And let me tell you, there's way more to it than you might expect.
Okay, so, the heart of the job, right? A personal trust officer, they manage these things called personal trusts.
Okay.
Sounds kind of basic at first, right?
Mhm.
But imagine, you're responsible for someone's legacy, what they want to happen to their family in the future.
Mm.
That's the kind of weight we're talking about.
Exactly. And it's a big responsibility because you have to make sure those wishes, they're actually carried out, exactly how they want it.
Wow.
Even after,
They're gone.
they're gone.
Yeah.
This is where things get really interesting because you're talking about estate planning, inheritances, all those tricky situations that come up with families and money.
Right.
And more people are turning to trust these days. So this isn't just some random job. Yeah. It's a field that is absolutely exploding right now.
It's slowing up. And it's not just any industry. One thing RoleCatcher really emphasizes is that personal trust officers, they often work with people who have a lot of money.
Oh, yeah. High net worth individuals.
We're talking the people making big things happen with the kind of resources most of us only dream about.
Exactly. It's an incredible opportunity to learn from the best in the business. See how they manage their wealth at that level.
Mm-hmm.
Plus, let's be real, sometimes you get to deal with some pretty cool assets.
Mm.
Rare art collections, classic cars,
Mm-hmm.
maybe even a private island or two.
Wow. No kidding. It's not your typical 9 to 5, that's for sure.
Nope.
Forget those boring cubicles crunching numbers all day.
Right.
This is about way more than just knowing your way around a spreadsheet.
Way more.
You got to be good with people, seriously good with people. Remember, you're working with families, often during some pretty tough emotional times.
Oh, absolutely. RoleCatcher really stresses that.
You need to really get them,
Yeah.
It takes a special kind of person.
Active listening is huge.
Yeah.
Really understanding not just what someone is saying, but what's behind the words, too.
So it's almost like being a financial therapist in a way.
That's a great way to put it.
You're helping them through something super complicated and personal. That takes a lot of empathy. And honestly, building trust is key.
100%. It's about guiding people, making sure they're heard, that they feel understood. But at the same time, you can't forget about your own responsibilities, the legal side of things.
It's a tricky balance. So let's say someone's listening to this and they're like, okay, I'm kind of into this whole personal trust officer gig.
Yeah.
What's the path look like? How do you actually get there?
So RoleCatcher lays out a pretty standard career path.
Mm-hmm.
Starts with entry-level roles where you're assisting the more experienced officers.
Okay.
You're learning the ropes, getting a feel for things.
Like an apprenticeship, but for the high-stakes world of finance.
You got it.
From there, you move on, right? Start managing trusts on your own, making the big calls, really connecting with those clients.
That's it. And then, who knows, maybe one day you're overseeing entire portfolios, leading a whole team of people, mentoring those new personal trust officers, just starting out.
Wow, talk about leaving your mark. Okay, but let's get practical for a second.
Yeah.
What do you actually need to really knock it out of the park in this job?
Well, you got to have that solid base. Education-wise, we're talking a bachelor's degree here. Finance, accounting, that kind of thing.
Makes sense.
Okay.
Got to have that knowledge. But RoleCatcher mentioned something kind of interesting, right?
What's that?
It's not just about being a numbers whiz, is it?
Not even close.
Yeah.
Got to remember, you're working with actual people.
Mm-hmm.
And when families and inheritances are involved, things can get, well, let's just say emotionally complicated.
Oh, for sure.
You have to be able to handle those situations with a lot of sensitivity. That's not something you learn from a textbook.
So, you're almost a financial therapist and a numbers person rolled into one.
Bingo. And that's where certifications come into play. RoleCatcher's really high on the Certified Trust and Financial Advisor designation, the CTFA.
Right, I saw that.
It's a big deal in this line of work.
Kind of like, leveling up your skills in a video game, but in real life.
Huh, exactly.
Shows everyone you're serious, you've got the chops to handle anything that comes your way.
It's all about showing those potential employers, hey, I'm dedicated, I'm on top of my game.
Yeah.
And speaking of staying ahead of the curve, RoleCatcher, they really emphasize the whole continuous learning thing.
Yeah, yeah. Especially with something as crazy complicated as tax law.
Ugh, tell me about it.
Yeah.
That stuff changes faster than I don't even know. But the point is, a good personal trust officer, they've got to be on top of all that, making sure their clients are protected no matter what.
It's like being a financial detective, always searching for those clues to help your clients out.
I love that.
Okay, but let's get down to brass tacks here.
Mhm.
We talked about the skills, the education part, certifications, all that. But what does it feel like to be a personal trust officer? Like, what's a typical day even look like?
All right, picture this. You walk into your office, Frank,
Okay.
and there's a family there. They've just lost someone they love, and they need help figuring out this whole estate thing.
Whoa, that's a lot to handle.
It is. So you spend the morning maybe digging into some trust documents,
Yeah.
making sure you understand exactly what the person wanted, every little detail.
No pressure.
Right. Then you're meeting with the family, answering questions, trying to make things a little less stressful for them.
Mm-hmm.
You might work with lawyers, accountants, even real estate agents, depending on what the trust owns.
Sounds like you need to be good at, like, a million things at once.
You said it.
Yeah.
And that's just one day.
Wow.
Every day is different. One day you might help someone invest their inheritance. The next you're working with a philanthropist who wants to give back to their community.
So it's not just managing money, it's about helping people through some really big life changes, right?
Exactly. You're helping them make decisions that could affect them for years to come.
Mm-hmm.
And that is what makes this job so incredibly rewarding.
Yeah, that's huge. You're not just dealing with dollars and cents here.
Right.
It's about families, their legacies. You're helping people build their future.
Well said.
Okay, but let's be real for a minute. There are gotta be some downsides, right? What are some of the tougher parts of being a personal trust officer?
Hmm.
It's a lot of pressure, right? Like, you're dealing with people's lives in a way. What are some of the, I don't know, the not so great parts of the job?
Well, you hit the nail on the head with the pressure thing.
Yeah.
It can be really tough emotionally.
Yeah.
Like you said, you're dealing with families, often when they're grieving, going through a lot.
Right.
You have to be very sensitive to that while also, making sure everything's done by the book. It's a balancing act for sure.
Yeah, finding that middle ground. And then there's all the legal stuff, right? Keeping up with all those rules and regulations.
Oh, yeah. Don't forget about that.
That can't be easy.
It's a lot. Tax laws, investment rules, it's constantly changing.
So you really got to be a lifelong learner in this job.
Absolutely. But that keeps it interesting, too. You're always challenged, always learning something new.
That's true. That's true. But even with those challenges, it still sounds pretty rewarding. Like you're making a real difference in people's lives.
That's what it's all about.
Yeah.
Knowing you're helping families through a tough time, protecting their legacies, there's really nothing quite like it.
It's a good reminder that finance isn't just about numbers and spreadsheets and all that.
Right.
It's about people. It's about helping them plan for the future, make smart choices.
You got it. And if anyone out there is thinking, hey, this actually sounds like something I could do,
Yeah.
I say go for it. Do a little research, see if it's a good fit. You never know. It could be your next big move.
I love that. And speaking of research, our listeners are in luck. We've got links to those RoleCatcher guides we talked about in the show notes.
Oh, they're great. Really helpful stuff.
Totally. They've got salary info, interview tips, everything you need to know.
Definitely worth checking out.
It's true. Sometimes all it takes is a little curiosity to discover your next amazing career move.
Couldn't said it better myself.
Well, on that note, I think we've done our deep dive on personal trust officers for today.
We covered a lot.
For sure. Big thanks to you for breaking it all down for us.
My pleasure.
And to everyone listening, thanks for joining us on this deep dive. Keep exploring, keep learning, and we'll catch you next time.